You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became.
Morning, everyone.
We're live, psych. No, this is the recorded version, right? Welcome. This is Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show, brought to you and sponsored by Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings.com. I was waiting where your questions are answered. You know, I'm like waiting on it.
I'm like, what is she stopping for? Oh, there's
shit. So today I am your host, Divine Moon Goddess. I have my co-host on, Oracle Empress, and we got another co-host on tonight is Goddess Love. And so today we are going to be talking about the moral compass. Now, of course, we're going to steer this conversation. We are all in the tarot occult business, but we can use this at any part of our lives, right? And so let's just take it to the occupation real quick of having that moral compass, because we all kind of come in here. And I've talked to many of tarot readers where it's like, well, I don't judge. And I'm like, I get that part. You know, you get someone, they book you, they don't really tell you what the conversation is going to be. You go through the conversation trying to assist them, especially when I see someone who's very adamant of wanting to know about somebody else's life. You kind of get that through the conversation, whether they're together, they're not together, things like that. You kind of might have that client that just can't let go kind of energy, right? So there is that. Is it the fine line of, do you say, nope, can't answer that question, or do you just go ahead and answer it? Now, a lot of tarot readers will say, nope, I don't judge. That's their life. Because we do know a lot of people cheat. We do know a lot of people, step out. I do have clients that, step out of their marriage. It is hard to not be judgmental, I think, because especially when you know it's not something that you would do, it's not something that you feel it's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, I want to hear what you guys think that moral compass, because I know it eats at us at a certain extent. After a while, it eats at you. You're trying to do the best that you can to help in the situation. We're told from spirit to keep our opinions out of it, right? So we don't put our opinion into it, right? But at the same time, it eats at you to hear the same conversation, especially when it's from someone who's come to you multiple times, right? So where do we instill this moral compass, and how do we instill it without bringing it judgmental, without making it very fine line, right?
Yes, it is. So for me, what I say is, well, it depends on what the question is. If they're asking about someone specifically, I will bring it back to them. I'll say, well, I will check their energy in regards to you. Like,
Right.
So that's how I try to bring it in.
Right.
And we're human. We all have our judgments and our thoughts, but what you just try to do along with spirit is give the message that spirit is giving without the extra, without your opinion, unless they're asking for guidance or advice. And you have to, use your judgment. This is a topic that I am not comfortable with.
Right.
Let's make this about you, because that's what everybody's reading should be about. It should be about them. This is guidance for them.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing. Even what I've learned in just doing the different readings was, instead of checking this person, how about the intentions towards you? Because if they're contacting the person, if they're trying to come back in their life, there's a difference, because you're confused, you don't know what's going on, you're kind of like, well, I really don't know what's going on, I need help. I can understand that. I think it's when it's very blatant that the person has moved on.
Yeah.
and you still want to know what's going on in their life. Because I will tell you, and we're going to go there, right? Especially with the twin flame dynamic, people take that term and think it's okay to check on my twin because that's my twin, and that's the
Yeah.
karmic. And I just want to check what's going on, and that's not okay. That's not okay at all, right? And so I think that's what has gotten me in this, to really set the tone of how it's one thing if someone's coming at you and you're like, wait a minute, why is this person coming at me? I need to see the intentions. Fine. But it is that difference when you have that they're in that whole other
Yeah.
life. They're not dealing with you. Most of these people are blocked, because you get some cards that you're just like, do you even talk to this person? Wait a minute. Like, looks like there's no conversation. And it's like, yeah, they blocked me. And it's like,
Like, oh,
okay.
makes
Yeah, I was
sense.
gonna say, I think it gets to the point where, like, for the most part, like, you do a reading for somebody once, maybe twice. You don't really know the situation, right?
Right.
But we do have some people who come weekly, bi-weekly,
Right.
daily. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. But when I finally start to get the sense that there's manipulation going on, where
Right.
I'm not being told the full story, or if the reading has been the same over and over, and it's to the point where you can see in the cards that this person is trying to manipulate the energy or not telling you the whole thing,
Right.
then it becomes not only a little bit creepy, but it's like, I feel like I'm helping somebody be the stalker. You know what I mean? And in
Right.
general, like, we're women, right? Not to say that it's a women men thing, but as a woman, to have somebody that you are trying to split yourself from, and you can clearly see this in the cards, and
Right.
it's not been once, it's not been twice, it's, now it's becoming habitual.
Right.
And then it's like, that becomes a little scary, because I do feel like sometimes people use tarot to be overly nosy, to be overly obsessive, um,
Yeah.
and they do it because they can,
Right. Right.
not because it's a good thing, but because I can get those answers. And
Right.
then, even if this person doesn't want me in your life, like you're saying, they blocked you, or they're just trying to
Right.
move on or whatever, it's like, this is my way of still having that connection.
Right.
And just as it's been for, as a woman, and I know it goes both ways even for men, but it does get scary like that, because you never know if this person was actually abusive to this person, and
Right.
you're going to tell them information that's going to make them go haywire,
Right.
or so it's like, when it starts to get that manipulation part,
Right.
and I'm looking in the cards and the readings are the same, or I'm getting these weird messages like something's not being honest with me
Right.
about the situation, I think that's when I just, like, I have to step back.
Right. I think clients don't realize that we can see the lies in the cards. Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't add up to what they're saying, right? And your gut is screaming at you, and you're like, it's not really them. You're coming out as the crazy one. I've had to tell clients that, like, no, you're actually coming out at the one that's very nasty and rude in your mouth. And they will
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, but they do this. And I'm like, well, they're actually coming out as, the fucking king of cups and the upright. And you're over here, the fucking queen of swords and shit in the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me how that happened. It's like, you know what I mean? And I've had to tell, well, I don't think you should ever just tell the client whatever they want to hear, because they're paying you. I think if you smell bullshit and feel bullshit, call them on their bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
because I have been lied to. I have been lied to, and we have seen some people who have gone to multiple of us because of the
Yes.
traffic. And then one thing I had to stop is where someone would come to me after they've already gotten readings. And then I noticed on the lives, everybody's waiting on the reading. And it's like, so you all have done all these readings, and now I'm the confirmation. I don't like that. One, there's a
Yeah.
conversation that I'm not in. Two, there's some information that I'm not getting. And then three, here we go on. It just doesn't feel right. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't, that's why I kept trying to tell people, one, stop letting everyone read you. I know everyone does free cards and you want free readings, but stop having a million people in your energy. Like, it's
Yes.
crazy how many people are just like, yeah, free card, give it to me, not even realizing like what's attached to that. And I
Mm-hmm.
never even really got tarot, but in the beginning, I was very skeptical about letting anybody fucking read me. Even when they were testing, it would be like, no, you guys remember, like, I'd be like, I'm not even doing test reads. One of the admins will do a test read with you. One of the mods have you, they will test read with you just because it's just like, nope, nope, not feeling that. Not feeling that, letting somebody in my energy. And I never was like, oh, you have to do it, you guys. But it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to do it?
They
Because
were
I'm,
open.
yeah, it's like I'm not doing it. I'm not. Um, I think a lot of clients do. They think we're kind of stupid here on our end, and I do feel like they do it because they can't, because somebody's going to be willing to take that money. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the unfortunate part about it. It's the moral compass goes out the door when the money comes in. And I get we all have to pay bills, but at what point do you kind of check your clients and say no? Because my thing is, I get it. You want to see someone blocks you out the blue and you have no fucking clue. I get it. You want to see what happened. I've done plenty of those readings and given somebody closure. Like, this is what's going on, let it go, right? But it's the sneakiness, it's the lies, it's the making someone out to be worse than what they are. And then
Yeah.
you see it in the reading and you're just
Yeah.
like, why are you doing that? I think even myself, I've been guilty of this, of not even peers, our people near us.
Of
I'm guilty of
course.
it. We're not calling them out and sometimes maybe saying some shit and just feeling like, is this something we should be doing right now? Is this
Bless you.
just because we're cool, just because we're sitting next to each other? Should I be answering this? Should I be looking at this? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's hit me quite a few times along this path. I don't know about you guys, but
Oh, definitely. And I have some friends in the group and we have our own private chats. And there have been times where I have gone maybe a little bit over what my normal comfort level is. But I always let them know that there's only but so much that I am going to personally look into. Because, like Lauren said, it's like stalking,
right,
especially if you're not directly connected with that
Mm-hmm.
person. So
right,
that's
right.
why for me, it's always about bringing it back to the quarant, for those who know official terms, but for the person being read, like
Mm-hmm.
it,
Right, right,
and it's for their benefit as well, because if you're going to keep on giving them readings about somebody else, they will never get that closure because they're always focused on that person and what information can I get now, and they just keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and they're never able to move forward because they're stuck there.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. I do think it does them a disservice too for that purpose. Like, someone leaves, regardless if later on they come back, regardless to if you guys find each other again. But it does you no good sitting here just, what are they doing now? What's going on with them now? They're not calling you, apparently. They don't want to talk to you. So this is where you get your shit together. And I do commend anyone who is willing to like sit and redirect the readings back to what, and I love how spirit is done in my readings, where this is where it kind of tweaked the way I was a reader, because spirit would redirect it. Like, you're asking about so and so, but this is about you. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
them. This is about your shit.
Yes,
This is about the
yes,
shit you need to
yes.
do right now. This is where you need to focus your energy. And they're like, but do you see him coming? No, I don't fucking see that shit. And I'm not gonna see it.
Like Spirit ain't even talking about that person.
Right. So apparently spirit is like, none of your fucking business. But I've seen it happen so many times, and it's like, no, this is not about them at all. This is all you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just setting the intentions of not wanting to answer those questions has just, that's the way spirit will lay it out for me, that I don't even have to really redirect it. All I do is look at the cards and I'm like, yeah, this is all
Like,
about you. This has nothing to do about them, you know. I do feel like in the beginning, we just do what we think is right, right? We think this is a part of it. We just answer people's questions
yeah.
like that's what it is, right? Until you keep getting, what do they call that? The niggling feeling, right?
Yes, that.
That niggling feeling. I don't want to say it too much because then it's going to come.
Yes, I know.
gonna come
We
out
know.
wrong, and people are gonna be like, "What the fuck did she just say?"
Don't worry, because the first time you said it, I was thinking to myself, what the fuck
Like,
is
where's
she
she
just
going? Where's she going with that?
Is she saying inkling? Like,
It's a term for like the intuition. There's an
Yeah.
actual term for it, right? And so I think it's a funny term though, because I can never say it too many times without fucking it all up. So
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious. So I think, eventually you start getting this feeling like, yeah, no, and I would never go to someone and just say, hey, can you just look up an energy for me without not saying like, my whole thing is I look at intentions all the time. I don't give a damn. I'm like, this person came out of the blue because, I just have that leery feeling. It's like where I've seen in this path, unfortunately, not to say everybody's a piece of shit, but a lot of people are. And a lot of people come to ride on the DMG chain. So I do that where I'm like, hey, can you check the intentions coming of this person? But I leave it at that. You know what I mean? I'm not like, hey,
Yeah.
what's the person doing? Who the fuck they with? You know what I mean? Like, and all of this crazy shit. It's like, now in the beginning I was crazy, especially with my twin. Oh yeah, and I don't want to sit up here like I'm a hypocrite and I'm all high and mighty, because no, in the beginning, I'd be checking our fucking energy all the time. And it's crazy because spirit used to, all of these damn queens and kings would come out and I'd be like, what the fuck is going on in this reading? Like, there can't be this many people in this reading. Like, what the fuck, right? And so it would constantly have me thinking until I really started to learn about my birth chart. And then it started to make sense of the different personalities and the different energies that you might be in. And when you're not talking, when you're mental, you could be the king, the swords. And then if you're all in your heart space and emotions, you could be those cups. And then it started to make sense like, oh shit, this ain't even like other people. This is just us in the fucking reading.
Yeah. It's just your multiple personalities.
And I do have them. Look, you have to check yourself. If you're in the mirror thinking that, oh, you're just this one person and you don't have no, fuck that. You have different personalities at different times. You have different modes. You have your loving mode. You have your, I want the truth mode. And you have your, I'm about to fuck shit up mode, you know?
Yes.
And I think people don't understand that. And it comes out in the energy of the read, and they're like,
Yeah.
the queen of fucking wands is not always the damn mistress. The fucking high priestess is not always the damn mistress. That shit is like, no. I
Sometimes it's you.
Right. So when we're talking about moral compass, you guys, even as a client, I think you guys listening have the duty to let the person know what's going on. Stop trying to lie or, tell half truths. One, it leaves a bad taste in our mouth because we see it, we feel it, and eventually it's going to come out. And that is a game changer for me as someone who reads. It definitely will have me not want to be available for you or read for you after that. Because I've, tried to be that person where I don't give a shit about this money at the end of the day. Because if it's going to keep me in a place of eating at me, making me feel like shit, and we talk about karma all the time, even when we're doing, like when we're looking at spell work and things like that. And I do feel like we take on bits and pieces of this shit being included in it. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I do. I think we take on.
I think when you're doing things that go against your own moral compass, it brings down your vibration, which allows space for that bad karma to come to you. So just try to do what you need to do so that you feel right in your heart and your mind, because people are gonna always come. And same thing, I had many times, especially in the beginning, where it was like, all right, that's your question, let me answer it. And
Right.
then you have to realize this doesn't feel right. And especially in the beginning, you're more excited to do it,
Right.
and you just want to help, you just want to
You're like,
answer, you
yay,
just
tarot reading.
be like, oh, I got that right, woohoo. But then it's like, okay, I feel this energy and it's not feeling good and it's bringing me down.
Right.
So it's
Right.
also a selfish thing, I guess, in that sense, because I don't want my vibration brought down from your questions and me invading somebody else's energy without their permission.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And you know, I've always, well, I started to say it recently, especially. I do believe that it messes with our karma. Like I said, not that movies and stories are based off of truth, but if you ever look, there is um, this kind of weird tie between a lot of movies and stories and legends where you do see a lot of witches and a lot of people who do spell work alone. And I think it's because of the karma and the things. They seem to always be very lonely people. Not saying the manifestors and things like that, but people who do these
The
kind of
actual
nasty
spell work.
spells, or they do, not to say all hoodoo or voodoo is bad, but that when you have these people who do these kind of bad juju spells, or they do whatever they do
Right.
for the community or the people around them, um,
Right.
they've always been portrayed as being alone
Right.
or dying alone and living alone. And there's some kind of misery, I think, to
Right.
a lot of people who do certain, a lot of spell work, just in general. I think there's just something that comes along with what we're doing. It's some kind of misery or uncomfortableness within ourselves that we end up being stuck with when we're choosing to do these things that I don't even think people really notice.
Mm-mm.
They just think it's like that's just how it is or whatever. But it's kind of like the stigma or this kind of aura that just kind of hangs over a
Right.
lot of people
Yeah.
that do these things.
Especially when you're doing it blindly, like
Yeah.
you're doing it blindly. But we are like, that's why I say we are very gifted, and I think on some level, it goes, there are some people that probably are just like, whatever, 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 I'm just making my money. And then, we all know what intentions are behind it, because I feel like those intentions are key, are everything.
Mhm.
I came across this Oprah, about this someone had put this shit of Oprah together, of all these interviews and stuff. And I don't watch Oprah like that. I know who Oprah is, but I don't
Who
watch her like
doesn't?
so it was like yesterday, I just came across it. And one of the things that she was saying is, and I've never really heard her talk about religion or God or anyone. So it
Mhm.
kind of caught me off guard. And she was like, you have to live a spiritual life, meaning have some type of belief system or moral code that you go by. She was like, your intentions are everything. And which I believe, I wholeheartedly believe this. But she said, when she was doing her first, a lot of programs in TV, and she was interviewing all kind of people. She said what changed her was one time, and I remember this so because it was like back in the fucking like 90s and shit. We used to watch this shit when we used to go home, nothing else to do. But it was her interviewing the KKK, and she said, I, looking out into the crowd on one of the breaks, she was like, I got it. It hit me. They knew what they were doing. They knew that they were using her platform to recruit and make a fun of the show. And she's just like, I thought I was doing this story, but it hit her how powerful her platform was, and how, she was being used at the same time. And she said from that day forward, she went to the producers and was just like, no, we have to do more stuff that's meaningful. And she said, one of the other things that she said that got to me, and she was like, a lot of people have downed her for not doing enough or more for the Black community, right? And she said, my purpose in this life is to open people's hearts, not just open the people's hearts of the Black community. My purpose was to open hearts. And man, if she hasn't fucking did that shit, her
Mhm.
shows and her interviews opens the hearts of people. And so that just really, really like hit me a certain way, all of that intention. And I think that's the problem. When someone comes to us in this field, the intentions behind you taking a client, is it because you truly want to help this client, right? Or is it because you just want the money? That I think is going to set up your karma at the end of the day. Do I really
Mm.
want to help this person, or is it because they're paying me? And I think that's where your moral compass will come into it. Because I feel like if I have done certain, especially with certain spell work, to help, to really help someone. I had a client, and I'll never tell names and shit like that because it's all
Of course.
confidential. But, I did have a client one time who came very worried about her husband in jail, and he was being picked on, and he was just being singled out. And one thing that I do, and I don't know how everyone does their work, but I always look at the cards first to see the energy. One, I want to see if my people, my team says it's okay for us to do this shit, right? Because some shit, they're just like, no, not doing it. Don't touch it. You can't get involved, right? And some things, it's like, yes, we're good. We can do it. So I wanted to see the energy. Was it really that he's being picked on? Was it really, or is it something else? Or because as people, we always want to save our family. We always want to save our people, no matter what they fucking do. Look, at the end of the day, our people are our people. And I know that we want to save them. So I had to make sure that it's something that I could. And I did end up helping her because it came out in the read that her husband was this very honorable, like, yes, he was in jail for some shit, but he actually had a big heart. He actually was helping other people. He actually, and when I was talking to her when I was doing the reading, she was like, yeah, she was like, he takes his money and stuff, and he gets food and soups and gives it to people who don't have it. And then the people that were singling him out didn't like that because they were trying to control that part of the jail. So, after the fact, you don't get none of this damn information when you first, someone's just like, hey, can you do this? And then people just jump on it. Me, I like to know a little bit more. So when I was talking to her, like, tell me a little bit more about this situation. So I did, what I can. And from what I know, I kind of check in with her from time to time. And from what I know, the guy left him alone. The guy stopped messing with him. And, she, of course, wanted him to be freed. And I was like, we don't go against law like that. Me personally, I would never sit in, the law is the law. Karma is karma. I don't go against divine karma either. And I tell people that if the cards come out where they've done what they've done and this is the price that they pay, I don't try to fuck with that. I'm not willing to take on that karma. In my path, karma has
Yes.
been a very huge piece of this puzzle. I'm not willing to take that on. And I think, Oracle, that's what you mean. That's what you're talking about, of, because where does it go? Who's taking
Mm-hmm.
it? You know what I mean? Who's absorbing this shit? It's the price you pay, right?
Yeah.
The person doing that spell work.
Right. And I think you
I
have to
mean,
be
if you
mindful.
look back at history and you look back at some of these books about, especially the women that stuff and things like that were in New Orleans. Just one second.
Right.
Um, if you look at their stories, a lot of times they had children that would pass, or they would have husbands that would pass, or they would never be married, and they would just kind of have this gloomy ass cloud that always hovered over their life, and so that's where I think that the karma comes in, is somehow it has to balance itself out. And
Right.
I don't think we notice it right away.
Mm-mm.
I don't think we notice it right away because a lot of people are like, just protect yourself, protect yourself. So,
Yeah.
you do your own candle to protect yourself, and you're taking your baths, and
Right.
then your bank account gets kind of funny, but you don't tie it to what you've been doing. You know what I mean? Or you just kind of become depressed, or you get these headaches, and you're not tying it to anything that you're doing. And I don't think there's a way to prove that, of course, but I
Right.
do. If you just look at some of the people and the way that things have always been depicted, I don't think it's quite wrong. I mean, even just think about all the stories you heard about. The witch was always this miserable old ass lady who sat in a
Right.
cottage in the middle of nowhere with no fucking body, and
Right.
she was scary as shit. And whether or not she was the Wicked Witch or the Glenda the Good Witch, she was always depicted like that. And people were always nervous and scared, but she was always lonely and in this, in her little secluded place. And it's like, I don't think we notice it. I don't think we notice it. But then I think as we get on our path and we start to become more aware of who we are morally and ethically, I think we start to get those tugs like, wait a minute, don't do that. Don't do
Right.
that. It's not your place. Chill out. Like,
Right. Right.
you don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing. Hold on there. Stop. And then I think sometimes, you either are very secure in who you are on your path, and you're like, hold on, I can't, there's something wrong right here. I can't do this.
Right. Right.
Or you don't trust yourself or your spirit guides, or you're just not there yet and you continue to do it for the money or for whatever reason. And I think that's when spirit kind of tags on
Yeah.
this shit to you that
Right.
we can't explain.
As you say that, you gave me a whole new perspective, because I'm now looking at different people that I know that have
Right.
gone down that specific path,
Right.
and that resonates with them, at
Right.
least from a third party stance. Like, I
Right.
see it for them.
Right.
So it makes so much
Well,
sense.
I can tell you guys, my great grandmother did spell work. She was, she's Cuban. She did Santeria, like the island Santeria, not what we know in the States, right? And she helped whoever came to her. Now, again, I do believe it's all about your intention, because I do feel like, but she did. She never remarried. She comes from a time where she was 13, given to a 30-something-year-old man, had his babies kind of thing. And she never remarried. I think she dated, but she never remarried. That lady died old, and I mean, in her 80s by her fucking self. And I do feel like one of the things that I tell people, even like looking at it, I don't care how powerful you are in spell work or how you can manifest. One of the things that what people don't understand is some of this shit you're trying to go against the creator energy. Why would you ever feel like that you are more powerful than creator's energy? You know what I mean? Like, even if you can do it for a little while, right? Because we know manipulation of energy, yes, we can do a lot of shit, right? But even if you get away with it for a while, you're trying to go against the divine plan. The fuck is wrong with you? Like, that's how I start looking at it. Like, the fuck? Because I had a client who, unfortunately, listening to some people, told her to do some spell work to break this man up that she wanted, and bring him back to her, which it did. A lot of chaos, but it did. He came back, and then she wanted to get rid of him. And it was just like you went against. And the crazy part is, I had never seen a reading like it before. This was the first time that I had ever come to that realization of, you went against the divine creation path. And that's when it hit me. Like, this is why my gut has always been like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
bringing this person back. I will not take this person from their fucking relationship for you. I will not do that shit. I just won't, because you will. I feel like those intentions. Oh yeah, I'm willing to fuck up somebody's life for you for money. Look at the intentions behind that. To think that do we ever see anyone who's this great manifestor spell worker that's like fucking billionaire? It's like
Right.
in the life. Where?
No.
No, you don't see that shit. I think that's why I feel like our intentions always have to be like, if you really truly need help, even when we're doing money, when I'm doing working with money manifestation, I always ask about lost money, stolen money in the line of the family, in the line of the ancestors, because
That's a good
that is money that was stolen or taken from the line that should have been passed down type stuff. Or, you do, even when myself, I ask for blessings from the future to come. You know what I mean? Like, you have to take it from somewhere.
That is a beautiful way to look at it. I've never thought of that. Usually, when I'm asking if it's money related, that nobody is harmed by me getting this money. This is money, excuse me, intended for me, and things like that. But that's something I'm going to add to my repertoire.
Right. I was sitting with it for a while, because in the beginning, we came across a lot of different types of witches, and different types of witches were very good at doing certain things that I used to just sit and look like, not gonna do that one. Like, yeah, no, because it's just like, where does it come from? Where, like, where? And I would, that's the good thing about me always asking fucking questions. It's like, well, where does it come from? If it has to come, the energy has to come from somewhere. We're co-creators. We're not the
Yes.
creator. And I think a lot of people don't
That's
understand that. So we're taking it from somewhere. And I think that's why a lot of people end up taking on the bad karma, because they don't look at that part or that piece to it. And they get caught up in the now and don't realize what the later kind of looks for them. And that's why I think I've been as good as I have not having repercussions, because there's, from the beginning, it's just like, yeah, no, where is this coming from? And the more I look at it, I'm like, I'm not willing to take on that karma for money.
Nope,
Not in this
not at
life.
all.
Not in
For,
this lifetime.
for me, like with love work specifically, I let people know I don't do anything that involves a specific person. It's either going to be self love or bring in the person that is intended for you.
Right.
And I even tell them when I'm encouraging them to manifest for themselves, like, don't try to bring in that person because like the client that you had
Right.
that got them back and now I don't want them anymore.
Right.
Like, you're messing up multiple lives. Like, if they're with somebody, you're ruining the relationship that they had with that person who
Right.
maybe really was their person, just
Right.
because you manipulated the energy and now look, you are still unhappy.
Right.
So bring in the person meant for you, or learn to be the person that attracts them. If it's going to be that person, if that person is meant for you, they'll come to you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to ask for
No
them.
spell work needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's kind of rough because, the sad part we've seen it is people want who they want. And when you're in that energy of just wanting this person, not because you really love this person, because honestly, if you really love this person, you let them go. You know that you got to let this person go. And if it's meant for you guys to, to be together, you'll be together. But it's more of the ego driven is who wants the person. No, I have to prove that I have this person. I have to prove that we made it. What will people think if this person leaves me? That's where most of it goes, because otherwise it's like, why would you go to this extent to bring this
Mm-hmm.
person back? That when you look at the cards, again, I always look at those cards before I do anything, and I don't do come back to me spells. I do strengthen, love strengthening. So if you guys are going through a rough patch, if the communication is off and you don't know how to get it back, or the passion is off, you don't know what to do, I always tell people, go buy some wigs, rent a, get a room, act like you don't fucking know some people. But then I still like, what else do you want to talk about in this session? But I do love strengthening. And that's what people always ask me, what's love strengthening? And it's to build on what you already have, not something that's broken in pieces and the person has always already left you and blocked you and all this other craziness. I do communication, love communication, when people they're not talking. And it's like, well, what's that mean? That means that should this person want to talk to you, it clears the air for you guys to talk in a peaceful and not passionate,
Mm-hmm.
but compassionate way. Not that this
Yeah.
person is going to run back to you and be like, oh my God, I love you. You're the love of my life. What I do is I help you get the energy to where if this person wants to talk to you, because I always add in my clause, right? If it is a part of their divine plan. Okay. And I make sure I add that clause in there, because I feel like if it is not a part of it, it's not a part of it. And again, I
Mm-hmm.
will not take the karma just to give you what you want. And I do explain that to the people, because I'm not doing anything where people don't know. And it's like, but you told me this. No, I fucking did not. There's not one person that can come and be like, Divine Moon Goddess, you told me this person was coming back to me. Mm, when? No, no, I did
Free
not.
will and energy changes. So,
I even tell people, even with opening up communication, this person still has the ability to not want to talk to you.
yeah.
They could still choose not to fucking reach out. They can still not choose to come near you. And the same thing when we do tarot readings. Just because someone's thinking about you doesn't mean they're gonna fucking pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people will tell the story behind it, like, oh yeah, this person's coming. No, it doesn't fucking mean they're coming. They're thinking about you, sure. Without action, it's nothing. And I look very clearly when I'm looking at cards for action cards. If I don't fucking see action cards, no, they're thinking about you. That doesn't show me movement. Like, there's no fucking movement in this reading, you know? I guess that goes down to some skill set too. And that's kind of like a whole nother topic of skill set. Because I think when we have gotten is, if you've noticed your level ups through your path, right?
Mm-hmm.
From when we started, because we all started at a very low vibration of how we came in here, right? you're at a very low vibration. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, every time you've done this like level up of ascension, that's where the moral compass kept hitting more and more and deeper until it's just like, I'm not trying to act like I'm over or above anybody, but fuck, am I the only one who's, feeling this shit? Am I the only one who's peeping this shit out? Like, wait a minute, something has drastically changed. Now, spell work, I've always been leery, in the beginning, because I had the past life regression. And I knew I've always been scared to even touch spell work. Coming from a background of spell work, I was always terrified. There was something inside me that just had this fear. And when I did that past life regression, I saw that I was very powerful and did a lot of shit for money, didn't give two fucks. But we all know how that happened. I had to pay a lot of karma in this life for that shit. So not willing to, my moral compass, and like I'm not at all like gonna sit and say, okay, to be the hypocrite, but I think you have to be okay for people to change also. I've never done a spell on anyone to come back to me personally. So I do pride myself in that. I've never been like, yeah, come back to me. I've done spells to open communication. I've done spells to remove blocks between, especially being my twin, because you guys know the craziness with the twin flame shit. It just to remove obstacles. And I've always let him know, like, hey, I'm burning this candle. You know what I mean? I've never done anything behind his back, like, okay, I'm burning this shit secretly.
Yeah.
I've always done it like,
I've never hid it. Like, I've never hid the fact that there's certain things that I'm willing to pay my karma for. Right. Like I just am.
right,
I'm not
right.
gonna fucking kill anybody, but I might, make your life a little bit crazy for a little bit, and we'll see what it is. But that's me. But I've always told other people, I'm sorry, I am not willing to take karma for your shit. Right. Definitely not, because 100%, I can read those cards all I want to. It's not a fucking crystal ball into what the fuck is really going on in that household. You know what I mean? Right. You want me to, do certain things, you might end up getting your ass kicked, or so just anything. Like I don't know what goes on over there. So but at this point I've kind of hit something in the last month or so where I'm a little bit on the fence, because we all know that I have my go-to is Santa Muerte, and she's a very non-judgmental person. So a lot of people who work with her say, you do whatever the fuck you want to. She's a non-judgmental person, right? She's going to protect you. She's going to love you. And at the same time, I'm like, but at what point,
Right.
like there's got to be, you're telling me that I can just run around and do whatever the fuck I want to whoever I want to, and I'm still going to see rainbows and fucking sunshine every day? Like, probably I don't know. I just don't, that's one of those myths where I'm like, y'all are tripping.
Right.
Y'all are tripping. Like, I don't know. And then they're always like, well, then you must not believe, and you must not believe, and you're not a devotee. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Because at what point, like, I just don't believe that this person who is loving and protecting of all people is going to allow me to do some crazy shit to her children.
Right.
And just be like, it's okay.
Right.
Just,
right.
Do your rosary and call it a day. You know what I mean? Right. Like
so true.
Right.
But I also believe, like, even though you work with her, you still have your team and your ancestors, and they may not feel exactly the same way and be like, oh, this is what she's doing. Right. And I'm standing with her for this. No, I'm gonna block her this way.
Right.
I'm gonna do this way. So it's not just her. For those who say you're not devoted because you don't run amok.
Right. My team has blown out a candle before. Like, no, you're not getting in this shit. And I've had to be like, they've never done that before. Like, wait a minute, I thought we were good. But the thing is, this is why some people they don't tell you the full fucking story. And it is true. Yeah. Even with pulling cards, you still don't see everything. No. You can only see a fraction of the energy. You can only see a fraction. And so whatever was like this one particular spell, this lady, I had done a protection one for her before, and it had been months. And of course, I didn't get the whole story, but I did pull cards and it felt good that I could. But about midway in that candle did some crazy shit I had never seen. And my people put that shit out. And I was like, alrighty then. Nope. Like,
Not
that's
today.
your shit no more. Because unfortunately, there was just some other shit that probably was involved in it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. Like, I love the team because we do have these energies that we work with. I work with, now I don't call on my orishas to do shit for anybody. That is purely family, myself, honoring
Yeah.
them. That's my go-to. I don't ask them for shit for no clients. I just don't. I will not do that. I'm not even called to fucking do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm doing client work, I call their team. I don't know if you guys have ever done. I call their team. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
calling so and so's team to
I,
step up and
I've
to
never
assist
thought about
this
that.
person.
I've
Yeah,
That's
I
how
never
I do
call
it
my
too.
called
team.
on anybody. I've called on Santa Muerte when it comes to people who have passed on because that's her thing, right? So when it comes to people who are like um, grieving because their father just died or they're not sure if this person crossed over or something tragic, when I light candles, I call on her for that because that's who she is. But when I do spell work for anybody else, I've never called on anybody and I've never thought about calling on their own team. But I've
Yeah,
never called on anybody to step in. I've just kind of
right.
allowed it to be whoever.
Whoever comes,
Lord, hear my prayer.
whoever's
You know
like,
what I
I'll
mean?
take it.
I don't
Like
know.
Ah,
whoever's like, oh, I'm available. I got it.
Like, I'm here. I got it. Like, okay, you get it.
Yeah,
Uh,
my team is very adamant, like, yeah, no. And even like where to put it, because you guys know I have the separate altars. I have my altar. They've allowed me, because sometimes I just don't have the room, they've allowed me to put a couple clients on the altar and work from there. But then there's a lot of there's like, nope, don't you put that shit over here.
they knock it over.
Because I do have the
mhm,
moon goddess altar, which that is for the moon goddess club. And that is where I learned about taking on other people's shit. Because you've seen me firsthand, like, be super fucking drained from other people's shit. We've seen just the watching the candles burn on the different times that we've done group candles for the Moon Goddess Club. And I have watched over this past year how that shit has affected and looked in the different burning. And then when we talk to different people, how they have like all this crazy shit going on in their fucking life.
mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I didn't sign up to take your shit on too. Like,
Nope,
no. And then
I
there's
don't want it.
and my team will specify separate candles. You know what I mean? They'll say, and I'll be like, I don't know why they're telling me do all these separate candles and shit, but this is what they, told me to fucking do.
Mhm.
But I just gotta go with it. But I do believe, like, yeah, I'm not calling in my team to do favors because that is where people fuck up at. I think it's like, oh, so and so do this favor for me, and then now I have to fucking bend over backwards, and some of these energies we know can get a little crazy. And I'm not into that. I'm like, I'll honor you guys that are connected to me in that way, and I do honor you. I like candles for you, and then every now and then I'll ask for stuff. I don't ask for stuff all the time, but the goddess one that we do, or the client work, no, I'm calling their fucking people.
Mhm.
Even like when we started off in the Moon Goddess Club of calling the goddess in to assist, we changed that like mid year when we realized
Mhm.
it's not calling the goddesses for favors, it is invoking the goddess within to step up. And that was a
Mhm.
huge transformation for us in the middle of the year of just
It's
like, no,
beautiful.
we're not calling in for favors on these energies. We're honoring the energy, the warrior or the goddess within. And that was a huge change for us as well.
That is beautiful. And also I feel like though when you're trying to call in these other energies, besides you, the one calling them in, having to also give them these gifts and do things for the favors that they are providing,
Right.
if you can also weaken them in a sense.
Mhm.
So let's say the lesser powers or like your ancestors who will do it out of the goodness of themselves, because I
Right.
work a lot with my ancestors. So it's like now I have to pour more energy into them to strengthen them again.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I'm like, no, I'm going to call your team. Your team is going to help you. So make sure you're doing what you need to do. You have to put your intentions out there as well, because it's a teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. It's not just going to be all me. You have to be ready for this also. You have to be ready to do what you have to do, because it's not just going to fall into your lap. As
Right.
much as I talk about law of attraction and manifestation, it won't just fall into your
No.
lap.
If that's the
You
case,
got to
all
do
of us would be
something.
like, give me $1 million and boom, I'm a millionaire. No, it doesn't fucking work like this. The shit, like I said, the shit has to come from somewhere. And I think people just don't get that. It's like, where the fuck shit is coming from? It has to come from somewhere, right? But I think a lot of people don't a lot of people do it based on the intentions. I feel like if your intentions are good, then you don't got to worry about it. But if your intentions are shitty, if you're doing shit with just that mindset of money, I feel like the consequences will come. I feel like eventually, and we've seen a lot. How many people have we seen snapped? We have seen people snap left and right because shit comes. Man, we've seen it. I've been sitting in the seat a little while now, and I have seen motherfuckers fall, crumble, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? But when you look at the practice or the way someone practices or the way that they carry themselves, and we all, like we said, try not to judge, try not to, tell anyone what they need to do or what they should do because we're all adults. But at a certain time, you see it, and you're just like, damn. That's the kickback.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe that's the kickback. Eventually, you have to pay. Eventually, somebody has to pay. You know, I believe it. Even with your
Yeah.
own ancestors, are you honoring them in the way that you should? Because a lot of people like to ask, 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 and don't honor them at all. You know, don't put a cup of water for them to fucking save your life until you need. It's like, oh my God, I need you now. Let me
I
remember.
need you to let me clean out this cup that got 10 dead flies in it and the water
Oh
is down to
shit! Y'all talking
here.
about my cup?
Go change your water.
It's like
Ah,
the gnats are all in there because you haven't changed the plate of fruit out.
no, I just go in there. I'm like, oh, she finally drank the water. It's all white on the outside and shit.
It's all slimy inside. Yeah. When I
It's
came back from vacation, oh man.
bad.
Yeah. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you extra water, extra ancestor money. And here's
Right,
another candle. I know I missed a couple of Mondays. Sorry.
right. And I don't have like a particular like I don't attend to my altar weekly. My thing is I always kind of stick to like when I'm called, when I'm shown. But I do make sure that they have flowers. I do somebody particularly likes coffee, so I make a lot of coffee. I seem to make a lot of fucking coffee all the time. That I kind of make all the time. Um, I haven't really been doing the alcohol, which is weird because I think for like shit, 2 years I did straight just shots of fucking whiskey for like, and then all of a sudden now it's like, coffee. I'm like, are you sobering up?
I figured
I
I'd
guess
just get the
so.
bottle of alcohol and put the whole thing on the altar. Because I've
Yeah.
seen altars where they just put the bottle up there. I'm like, okay, that works. That
I
works.
had it there. My grandma was like, no, because she's not sharing everything with everybody. So I have one glass for her and one glass for everybody else. Like, yeah, I gotta share. And oh man, that I changed the alcohol more than I change the
Right.
water.
My grandma was a beer drinker, so I'm just gonna grab a 12
Grab a
pack
beer.
of Modelo and stick it on the bottom of the altar. Like,
That's what
have
I'm
at it as
talking
you
about.
please, lady.
One thing I never have to worry about is the liquor. Yeah, the liquor's always gone. I never have to switch that out. Like the liquor always is evaporated, right? And it's only the coffee and the water that you got to switch out. Now they do drink a huge portion of the damn coffee, which always surprises me. But the liquor, yeah, I never have to switch that out. I just have to get
Yeah,
in
no.
the
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's that dry. Oops. Sorry.
Right. So any last words on having a moral compass, ascension, leveling up for people as we are going to close out this show and get to the horoscope?
I guess for me, if you are the parent and you're asking for something, right, you don't get somebody who's not going to tell you no. Because there's a lot of people who will tell you yes. I think you need to be prepared and just know that you be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it and it's going to come back somehow, some way. You're asking for that man to come back. He might come back and cheat on you the whole time. He might come back and beat your ass. You're asking to put chaos in somebody's life. You never know, that person could go and fucking kill themselves tomorrow, or hurt somebody else, or hurt your children because they're just going nuts. You know what I mean? So just be prepared for whatever you do to come back in some way, shape, form, or fashion, to you, somehow, some way, down the food chain line. And you might not even know it's because of that, but just,
Right.
just know that when you are altering somebody's mind state, it's not going to be rainbows and butterflies.
No. And I would say, to piggyback off of that, focus on yourself, focus on your energy and how you can improve, how you can become the person that attracts somebody who is worthy of greatness. You want greatness, then you need to be great. You can't be bottom tier expecting top tier. So do your best to be your best self, and that will bring in great things just off of that. You don't even have to ask for anybody specific.
Right. So in closing, you guys, it's just really, regardless if you're the client or you're the reader, just remember that at the end of the day, we all will need to answer to some way, shape, or form. If you believe in a higher power, if you believe in God, if you believe in Allah, whoever it is that you believe in, just know that there is a divine path. And we talk about it, we speak about it, but it's about us also living it, not just saying it. And so we do have to mean what we say and say what we mean, and really come into that integrity. And I think when we're looking at ascension and doing better in our lives, really, and really becoming these better people in our lives, I think eventually we all have to kind of stand